Hi, I'm here to review and talk about a learning management system. There are many learning management systems available to support and enhance teaching and learning in further education. Some examples would include WordPress, Blackboard, LearnClash and Moodle. Today I'm going to talk about Moodle, a learning management system that I recently started to use with my QQI Level 5 pre-nursing students in further education. My name is Marie Hughes and I'm a student teacher, and my goal is to provide my nursing students with learning opportunities outside the classroom environment that support and enhance their learning. My students are all adult learners of many different ages, circumstances, cultures, life experience and work experience levels. They have very individual learning needs as a result that require differing levels of support inside and outside the classroom. Myself and my students lead very busy lives, so a learning management system needs to be easy to use and access. And I also need a system that will give my students some control over their own learning within a community of like-minded learners. As pre-nursing students, they need to develop autonomy and self-direction. I need my students to feel like they belong, but that they're supported as well at the same time. And I also need their efforts and input, if possible, to be tracked to some degree outside the class environment. So to start, I discovered that Moodle was created by Martin Douglas, has a team of 30 developers at its Australian headquarters, and is supported by over 60 Moodle partner service companies worldwide. One of these partner service companies in Ireland, you may have heard of them, are Innovation Solutions. Moodle has over 1.5 million users worldwide. It operates in 232 countries and provides a translation feature that has over 120 languages. This multilinguistic capability is a big plus for many of my students where English is not their first language. Traditionally, support for these students will be limited to the quality and availability of the language support system in the resource area of this college. However, with Moodle's translation feature, they themselves can access and control this additional translatory language support, and they can self-direct their own learning in an equitable manner alongside the other students in their class. This is a really big plus for my students. This equitable usage is also a universal instructional design principle that Moodle supports. They say first impressions last. In relation to usability, Moodle has a simple and easy to use interface that both myself and my pre-nursing students have found easy to navigate from the very start and not at all off-putting. Another principle of universal instructional design embraced by Moodle. It's fully customizable, flexible, simple and intuitive. It has searchable content, forums, etc. and it's very simple to use and has a very simple interface. Moodle's drag and drop features make it very easy for me and my students to upload files, videos, URLs and documents. Traditionally, this would have involved an awful lot of printing, emailing and note-taking, which is very time-consuming and inefficient for both myself and my students. Moodle's drop-down menus make it very easy for me to see my class groups once I log in, and 1 or 2 clicks will take both myself and my students wherever we need to go. In relation to risk, Moodle is an open source project. It's continuously reviewed and upgraded to improve and meet the needs of its users. This includes safety controls which protect against misuse, data loss and unauthorized access. My students must log out and in via their password protected student accounts in order to access and leave their Moodle pages. Learner posts, grades and assignments and other information can remain private as a result of this safety feature, which is great. An element of risk, however, exists when leaving the course without logging out. And this can pose a security risk to my students and myself, and is easily done if any of us are in a rush, which happens quite a lot. The security risk is especially true if we've used personal information to access online software via Moodle. The subsequent potential for unauthorized access by other individuals as a result of not logging out does threaten the privacy of my learners' information, such as grades, assignments and feedback. And I would recommend a pop-up pinging sound along with a text box, which could warn students and myself that we're about to leave our Moodle sites and remind us to log out. It could also be used for critical announcements regarding assignments or need-to-know information. In relation to privacy, it should be noted that within the Moodle page, I can customize and suit the privacy controls to the course activity and the student group that I'm dealing with. Another principle of universal design is the provision of perceptible information, and via Moodle I can structure my class content in easy to perceive weekly format, topic format and social format via blogs, chat, forums, etc., which traditionally would not have been so clear or easy to use for my students. They would not have been able to refer to any of these facilities without note-taking, emailing, lots of explaining, printing, filing, time-consuming and very inefficient. So Moodle's one-stop learning management system allows me to provide my students with module descriptors, assignment briefs, schedules, marking schemes, not to mention rubrics, in a very easy and perceivable format that I can motivate and track my students' engagement with Moodle's learning materials by using pre- and post-class quizzes and short tests, something my students love. My Moodle student surveys can also provide me with feedback from my students to improve my teaching and check students' responsiveness. My students have found this very empowering and it gives them a voice, which is great. I can disseminate, gather and review my students' assignments, record grades for students to access online, store my private resource files in its online filing cabinet for easy access, and I can communicate and extend my students' learning outside class time as a result of all of this. Moodle also makes my students feel more connected to me. Both myself and my students can access and create podcasts on Moodle. I can use them to introduce weekly topics to my students prior to classes, where traditionally this would have depended on the end of class introduction to the next class's content. A lot can get lost in translation. Notes can be lost or damaged, and information can be forgotten. Via Moodle, this flipped classroom style of learning extends contact class time, allowing for extra hands-on practice skills-based activities to take place. As my students have a 60% care skills assessment, this means that my learners need an awful lot of hands-on class practice and discussion time around care routines. And Moodle's flipped class facility can help me to provide this time to my students with the use of these preparatory videos and quizzes prior to practice classes. Traditionally, this extra class time would not have been available. The downside is that some students may not access this material for reasons ranging from poor connectivity, external work constraints, family demands, and personal commitments. Lack of access to technology due to poor financial circumstances could also be an issue. However, it's not one I've come across as of yet. College computers can be provided at times to help these students catch up prior or during class time, but this too can be inconvenient for many students due to travel arrangements and personal commitments, and also college scheduling regarding computers. It's something for me to keep in mind for my students moving into the future with Moodle. Training may be required for a lot of students, as it may take students a while to adjust to and identify the presence and also the value of Moodle in relation to their learning, so it does take time. Moodle's collaborative communication features support the flexibility principle of universal design for learning, and in relation to my pre-nursing students' learning needs outside the classroom, its forum, chats, wikis, podcasts, blogs and workshop features encourage this activity among my students. Moodle's wikis can encourage my students' collaborative writing and self-directed sourcing and uploading of study guides and glossaries. Group presentations can also be added, something I aim to use in the future, and all of this is driving my students' collaborative and self-directional learning outside class hours. My students like the fact that they can revise or review class PowerPoints, videos, and any other additional information at their own pace, and if they miss a class they can catch up, which is great. Traditionally, my students would have lacked the facility of being in control of this process, resulting in low comprehension and motivation levels within the class, and students with differing levels of confidence would feel a block in relation to accessing missed information. With Moodle, it's all there for them to access anytime in the comfort of their own environment. The development of my pre-nursing students' critical thinking skills and reflective practice and synthesis of differing concepts during class requires processing time, and this learning and understanding through reflective, sometimes revisionary practice of classwork outside the class environment is very important. Moodle facilitates this process and supports this process, which is a big plus for my nursing students. My students need time, as Dewey would say, to make sense of their new learning and make it fit into their already existing knowledge framework, and Moodle helps them to do exactly this. Christensen et al. Discusses how IT's disruptive aspect can change the way we learn, and as a new user of Moodle, I can say Moodle's disruptive aspect is enhancing learning for my students by making resources available and learning interactions available in many differing formats, both visual, auditory, text, videos, etc. Moodle shuns the traditional one-size-fits-all instructional approach that may have existed in relation to IT and education previously. Moodle's flexibility, a universal design principle, facilitates choice activities to encourage my students' decision-making skills when wished. Scrum, shareable content object reference model, podcasting and frequently asked questions and checklists all add to Moodle's list of useful features for my students. My learners need to work and function as part of a multidisciplinary team on work placements and in work in the future and training in the future. And so Moodle's activity block features enable them to practice collaborative communication outside the class environment in a safe, course-related space with like-minded fellow students. And this is one of the big pluses I have found with Moodle. Another big plus to using Moodle as your learning management system is it's free. Moodle is an open source software that comes under the General Public License Agreement, and that means anybody can adapt, extend or modify Moodle for commercial or non-commercial use without licensing fees. And this is very beneficial for myself and my students. It's therefore cost effective and flexible, which is good news. However, training in many new features that Moodle has to offer can cost money when obtained from specialist companies, and the benefits of this training must justify the cost. And you can check out this link that will take you to a short informative video on Vimeo overviewing Moodle and introducing one such Moodle training company. It should be noted that Moodle has brought in a MOOC in relation to training. Another feature of Moodle that must be mentioned is its default mobile compatible interface and cross-browser compatibility. This means that Moodle's accessibility is consistent across all web browsers and devices. Moodle is accessible anytime, from anywhere in the world and from any device. Again, something that ties in with the equitable use principle of universal design for learning. One downside that must be mentioned is intermittence or absence of internet connectivity, which can be a problem for students. It is something to keep in mind, as this could limit the access to Moodle outside college time for students, which defeats its purpose. And my students have informed me that mobile data on their phones makes it very easy for them to access Moodle in a casual manner without even thinking anywhere, anytime. Something editors Van T. Hooft and Swan refer to in their published literature. Just as writing has become a fundamental part of my students' lives that they take for granted in the classroom, I also feel that students' use of Moodle and the many devices that they access Moodle with, such as phones and laptops and iPads, will also become a fundamental, taken for granted feature of education and adult education in the future. However, the universal design referenced to many, such as Chisholm and May, is vital if a learning management system such as Moodle is to be equitable. The 2012 census states that 13% of Ireland's population is disabled, and so universal instructional design in relation to Moodle is best practice that has a huge impact on all learners in an inclusive manner rather than an accommodatory manner, and one that Moodle strives to embrace. We need to talk about accessibility in relation to Moodle. Accessibility is very important in relation to any learning management system, and Moodle is no different. According to Marino et al. 2012, Moodle informs its system design to adopt a preemptive, proactive, universal instructional design for all, which is great. It strives to support students with specific disabilities, and Moodle's interactive interface follows ARIA recommendations in relation to assistive technologies. It should be noted the main disability standards and guidelines for learning management systems are driven by the Wide Web Consortium W3C standards and the Web Accessibility Initiative WAI Accessibility Guidelines. The WCAG guidelines are the most important components of the Web Accessibility Initiative, and they are considered the official standard in the European Union and are referenced in most legislation worldwide. W3C and ATAG recommendations are the method for evaluating accessibility requirements in learning management systems, and they both provide ways of checking, identifying and correcting inaccessibility. In relation to these standards, Moodle does have the capacity and compatibility to accommodate students with disabilities via extensions and plugins. For example, screen reader software programs that allow blind or visually impaired users to read the text using a speech synthesizer or a braille display. Basically, a screen reader is the interface between the computer's operating system, its applications, and the user. Moodle does follow the WCAG 2.0 and ATAG 2.0 guidelines and strives to improve its design to follow universal design principles via users and developers' evaluations on its collaboration group's mailing list. This is a work in progress and very positive. So Moodle can offer users screen readers, refreshable braille displays, speech synthesizers, magnifiers, adaptable keyboards or voice recognition software if required. However, it would be better if they came already built in from a universal design point of view. You can locate some checklists regarding the WCAG 2.0 beginner, intermediate and advanced guidelines by following this link to download. There's also a checklist that provides a quick reference and overview in relation to information surrounding WCAG 2.0 if you follow the second link. Moodle does have built-in assistive technologies, limited use of external links, embedded multimedia and assistive technologies, as well as a browser compatibility checker. However, it does not have built-in word prediction or voice recognition. As such, it falls down a little here in relation to universal instructional design principles concerning technical and physical effort, as these accommodations must be added as plugins. This can only be carried out by a technical administrator and not by the teacher, which is an inconvenience, something that is much easier with WordPress, where the teacher can control the addition of these plugins. It should be noted that for the last 10 years, Moodle has adopted a social constructivist pedagogical approach to its design, which is similar to my teaching practice. This student-centered approach works really well for my students. They love having control over their own learning experience and its pace. And Moodle provides me with the opportunities as a learning professional to utilise a pedagogical behaviourist approach when appropriate also with my students to drive learning. I can do this with the use of badges on completion of learners' tasks or learning. Quizzes and short activities that are linked to badges can help track my students' progress and engagement in learning, and also value their input, which is a good motivational aspect of Moodle that traditionally would not have been possible outside the class environment. Moodle has a tolerance for error. It allows students to edit or delete posts after posting, and it also allows me to delete, change and move resources where necessary to correct errors and to make improvements layout-wise for my students' environment. To sum up, Moodle enhances collaboration among my students as they can post in forums, chats, blogs, workshops, wikis and glossaries, all of which provide support. Another principle of universal instructional design. They can upload files, assessments, assignments, feedback, images, videos and podcasts. They can take part in quizzes, formative and summative assessments, see events and access news posts. Students can also give and receive feedback to improve both their learning and drive my teaching to suit their learning needs. On the downside, as Moodle extends students' learning outside the class contact hours, it should be noted that it also extends teaching time outside the class contact hours in a preparatory and monitoring manner. Therefore, a sensible approach to its use and time allocation outside class should be adopted to avoid work overload for both the teacher and the student. It must be remembered that a healthy life-work balance is needed to function effectively and to maintain our well-being, and as such, Moodle should be used sensibly to support and enhance class learning, not to replace or stretch it in an unreasonable or stressful way. So to end, as a future teacher in further education, QQI asks that I ensure my learners have a rich, interactive multimedia experience that encourages collaborative learning and engagement and meets the learning needs of my students. Having reviewed Moodle, I feel Moodle does exactly that, and it also develops my pre-nursing students' IT skills, which is something very important that they'll need to progress into future studies or work in this area. I have found that Moodle is a collaborative, interactive, student-centred, easily accessible and user-friendly learning management system that helps all of us balance, organise and pace our coursework around and alongside our personal work and family commitments, something traditionally not achievable to this degree.